Thank you, John. Wow. Oh gosh, I'm a mess. I always am a mess, but I'm really a mess today. Thank you. I'm hungry for Skittles, though. I don't- the only thing that would have made that message better is that you passed out bags of Skittles. You got to talk to me about. So, hey, it's great to be here. Great to see you. I know last week you had a Neil. Next week you're going to have a Neil, and you get a Smith sandwiched in between. And I'm like the middle of an Oreo cookie, I guess. But I love this church. I love what God gives me the opportunity to do. I travel all over the world, and I told this in the first service, not to brag, but just to help you see that literally we're taking a message as far as we can. I preach in a church in Medan, Indonesia that's between 60 and 70,000 people. They have like 58 or 59 different hotels and venues around the city. And when I tell people that, then I'll hear people say, "Hey, could I go with you there?" And they want to go to that big church. And I said, when you've sat in a hut made out of cow dung, and it's about the size of a bathroom, and everybody is so close they're rubbing up against your legs, and it's 120 degrees. Once you've gone there with me, then you can go to Medan, Indonesia with me. Not till then. And you know what? Till today, I've had none of those people ever take me up on that opportunity. But on Delta Airlines, I don't say this braggingly, but I've flown over 2.5 million miles, not to count other airlines, just because this is what God's called me to do. I lived in Malaysia in the late 80s and early 90s, which, makes me sound old to some of you. But our third son was born there, and then we moved home back to the States our kids have better schooling opportunities. And my kids are all grown now. I got 7 grandkids. And, people say, what do you have when you have 7 grandkids? No money. You spend it all on the grandkids. But you're helping a great amount of help to people around the world. This church has been so generous to us for many, many years. As John said, how long I've been friends with Pastor Archie, and his wife and my wife are both from Tennessee. We rescued them from being barefoot the rest of their life. And if you tell my wife I said that, I'll deny it and have amnesia. But, we've done some great things today, on July the 18th, 2021, you're sitting here in this great church in Lafayette, Indiana, but there's people in Santo Domingo, Cuba, that are eating today because of you. You say, I don't even know where Santo Domingo, Cuba is. I know you don't. But your money went there this year, and it helped feed people, and it's still feeding people today. Right now, today, there's people that will eat because of your generosity. When the beginning of the year, and they were having another spike in the COVID, and if you watch the news, there's huge civil unrest there, but it's not just because of COVID. It's just the way the people are treated. The average Cuban lives off of $20 a month, not a day. A month. And so I got a hold of the people that we work with, and I said, listen, I want to buy some food. I want to, I want to go get vegetables. I want to go get pigs. It's against the law for Cubans to eat beef, but they eat pig and fish, and usually once a week. That's all I got the money for. And I said, I want you to go find some pigs. And, if you don't believe in killing animals, just, stuck your fingers up right now. But there's only one good reason for a pig, and that's to kill it and eat it. And so, anyway, I said, go get some stuff. And they said, well, how much you got to spend? I said, that has nothing to do with what I want you to do. They said, well, how much? I said, you just go look and you report back to me and I'll tell you when to stop. So he started going and he found a pig. It was the last one we bought weighed 320-something pounds. That morning we bought the pig, killed the pig, and that afternoon it was in bags of food to give to the Cuban people. And so that's kind of some of the stuff. In Cuba you can stand in line for 12 hours to buy a tube of toothpaste and get up there at the end of 12 hours and they're done. They don't have any. And so we're just trying to help people. And India, we've dug wells. We've dug more than 100 wells now in villages of places that don't have water. You and I don't. I'm listening to me. I've been there. I've been to those villages, and I still don't comprehend how much of a blessing it is to just jump in the shower and turn the water on that works. They don't have that. And so we've dug over 100 wells. You've helped to dig wells. This church has. You've provided water. We dig wells on churches in the villages because we make it free to anybody. You can be a Muslim. You can be a Hindu. You can be a satanic priest. You can be anything. If we catch you selling water that we've dug the well, we will take the church away from you. Trust me, we will. And so you cannot sell it. We give water away. And Jesus said, do this so the people can see your good works. And so you're helping do that. And you know what? When I started, I'll tell you how much money I had. Zero. Because God never checks our pocket before he gives us a dream. Which brings me to our summer song series message today. Watch this video. Amen. A million dreams. There's a million dreams in my head today. And I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to pray that you lose sleep over the God-given dreams in your heart. As to not, I want you to sleep, but I am going to pray that God helps all of us until we do what God's calling us to do. That we stay awake and we find ways and we find opportunities to dream. And if you're watching us by Facebook today or you're in this building, I don't say that lightly. I don't say that somehow that's what a missionary is supposed to say. Listen to me. There are ways for God to get your dream fulfilled in your heart. And maybe that's kind of weird as anything. You're here and you're just trying to survive. I understand that, but I realize in the walls of this church there's dreams. And some of those dreams are they're dormant. Some of those dreams are a little dusty. Some of those dreams are just, very, very in their infant stages. But we've all got dreams. God's given all of us the opportunity to dream and to do something with this life. This life is not just meant to live for ourselves. It's not. I'll be married 45 years in January to my first wife, and if you're wondering, she's the only wife. It's my life. When I was single, man, I mean, you can do lots of things. You don't have to think about it being anybody but yourself. Then you get married, and you got a wife, and then you got kids, and then you got grandkids, and I'm spending most of my August going to my grandkids' birthday celebrations because my life is not my own. Your life is not your own. God didn't save you to sit. God saved you for a purpose. Yeah, the purpose, you can escape hell. But you know what, to be honest with you, I rarely ever sit around and think about how am I going to escape hell. I'm sitting around thinking about how can I help other people get to a relationship with Jesus. There's only one antidote, one, for darkness. Only one, and it's light. And the brighter we shine the light, the greater the darkness. I can turn every light off in this building, every even LED bulb in a machine, and get it to where it is absolutely pitch dark in here. And I can set one person where these couple of ladies are here and give them a Bic lighter. And just one click of the Bic. That's old school for you that are. And eventually, you could see to go to anywhere you need to go in this room. Because light is the only thing. And so I'm spending my life just going around the world. I have people all the time tell me, man, I couldn't go to the places you go. I know that. But would you please give me your money and I'll go for you, is what I tell them. And so that's all we're doing. We're just going around the world to shine a light where it's the darkest and trying to fulfill the God-given purpose on the inside of me. You see, I'm standing up here today not because I deserve it. I'm about 3 generations of alcoholics. My father drank himself to death when I was 48 years old. When he was 48, I was 26. My grandmother had 9 children. 5 of them, their death certificates say chronic alcoholism was a cause of death. I'm a product of a divorced family when I was 13 years old. I shouldn't be here. But when I realize that I am here, I've got something bigger to live for than my own self-absorption and my own petty desires. And that's the way God wants it for all of us. Now, I won't get to everything today. If you want, you can go back and listen to a little bit of the first service, but they give you so short a time to preach here. It's no wonder they don't have many guests, because nobody would agree to come and preach this short. Hey, I love these folks right here. You got great pastors. I love John and Brittany, their kids, and he's like a son to me, but just thank God I don't have to pay his bills. Because I got other grown kids, I still pay part of their bills. Somebody asked me one time, you stop interrupting me, okay? I'm trying to get to my message. Somebody asked me one time, says, because now that my kids are grown, I got a 42, a 37, and a 30-year-old. They said, when do you stop paying for your kids' stuff? I said, when you're dead. Then they divide the rest of your money up in between them. So I'm proud of what God's doing through you guys. And I hope all of you realize the gift. Okay, now back, that was a commercial, back to the story. Oh, I'll drive home today thinking of everything I wish I would have said. Abraham was promised a great promise from God. You'll become the father of many nations. The problem was biologically they were past their baby producing years. But yet the Bible says in Romans, you can read it later, it says that when there was no hope, Abraham hoped. And he didn't lose faith. He didn't waver. But during the process, he grew in faith. And what's interesting when you read those stories, the best I can tell, unless there's some unwritten stuff about it, nothing of his circumstances changed. Nothing of his, he was still 100. Sarah was still 90. Nothing like that changed, but God gave a miracle because God had given a dream. Abraham's impossible was a setup for a miracle. You may be facing, maybe you walked through those doors today and you said, man, I got this and it's impossible. And you don't understand how it's going to be. Your impossible is a setup for a miracle in your life and around you. God has put together this ability to help all of us stick to it until we accomplish the things God calls us to accomplish. Nothing is ever built or made without resistance. Even our cars, and I don't even understand this, I'm not a mechanic, but there's a positive and a negative, and somehow if you don't have both, you don't have juice. So I got positives, I got negatives, I got lots of things against me, but the fact is God is for me, and God's helping me. And so how do we, and there's so many things I would want to say, but man, first of all, you just got to get rid of all excuses, why it can't happen. Why you can't do it, why you can't go, why you can't accomplish what you want. Your past is too bad. You can't see the future. You don't have enough. This is one of the things we do. We don't focus so much on what we have. We focus on what we don't have. My kids played that game with me when they were growing up. I'd say no to ice cream. Oh, Dad, you never give us ice cream. I said, really? Never? Would you like for me to fulfill that promise for you? And we can never get out. Oh, I'm just teasing, Dad. I said, I thought you were. I knew the moment those words left your mouth, you regretted it. But that's what we do. See, we think about it. We make excuses. Well, if I just had this, I love the story of Gideon, and it's too long to talk about, but God basically finally got it down to 300 people and to get them to believe that they could accomplish and defeat the enemy. And that's what sometimes God does, God gets us down to where we realize, okay, this is what I have, and this is what I'm going to use to get to the place that I want to do. And so you can't make excuses and just look at what you got. And then you can't give up, man. You can't give up at the first sign. This building is a sign that of God's goodness and God's favor. I remember walking in this building when they just got it, and they were scraping, I don't know what, off the floor. If it, this was like a chewing gum factory, and it was an inch thick, but I come in here one day, and John was all sweaty, and he was tired, and his kids were tired, and his kids were complaining. I said, man, you're too hard on these kids. And man, we're just scraping stuff off the floor. And I remember calling different times. I'd talk to John, or I'd talk to Archie, and they'd say, man, I don't know, we want to get in that building, but we're facing this obstacle, and we're facing that obstacle. And then I'd call them back the next time, hey, we got through this, we got through that. And then I'd call them back, and the electric's $80,000 more than we thought, and then I'd call back, and somehow it's $20,000 less than they thought, and then God provides a plumber, and I mean on and on and on. And now look, you're sitting here, but you wouldn't be sitting here today unless you have somebody that's willing to not quit when there's obstacles. There's obstacles every time I attempt anything. Every time. And I can't tell you enough how that if you give in when there's an obstacle. I was back in the 1900s. That'll help you know how old I am. I was kicked out of Vietnam. We had preached all day, and they put a note underneath our door in the hotel and said, we request you to come see the police tomorrow. And so we talked to the pastor that we were working with. We said, what do you think we ought to do? And they said, well, it's not a command, it's a request. We said, good enough for us. We went to the airport and caught a flight and left. And so the next time we went back, they stopped us at immigration, interrogated us for a few hours, held the plane up, put us back on the plane, said, get out of here. They marched us to the plane with soldiers in the front, soldiers on the side, soldiers in the back with machine guns. I know everybody thought we were drug dealers getting deported out of the country. And, we got kicked out. We couldn't go. Lost tens of thousands of dollars of money that we'd sent ahead for stuff. This is really an important story, so bear with me. And so about 5 years later, we applied again for a visa, and we used a visa service out of San Francisco. So the guy calls me. He says, he's kind of hesitating, and he says, hey, Steve, he said, I want to talk to you about your visa application. I said, okay. And he said, have you ever had problems in Vietnam? And I said, well, be best if you describe problems. He said, well, have you ever been kicked out of Vietnam? I said, only once. And he said, they've denied your visa. And I said, okay, and that cost me a few $100 because none of these places give you the money back. You just apply for the visa and then they go on vacation with your money. And so last year, we applied again. It was almost 10 years, I think, something like that. We applied again for a visa, and I got it. And I was in Singapore, and the world started to shut down, and so I had to cancel. But I'm telling you that because I'm going to tell you something. I'll write John when I'm there, but there'll be a time because I refuse to stop it just because there's an obstacle, and I'll write him from Vietnam and I'll say, I am here. So you can't give up. And then the final thing, and I'm going to throw a few bombs your way, so please get ready for explosion. Your faith has got to stay in God. And if you don't remember anything I say, please do not forget this one statement. Never downsize your dream to match your circumstances. Never. Because there's always going to be circumstances against you. There's always going to be something that you're not going to know how to overcome. But if you lower your faith and you keep it even with your circumstances, you will never accomplish what God wants for you. I didn't say this the first service, but I got to say it this service. Another bomb for you. As long as circumstances can change your attitude, your faith will be a servant of your feelings. Let me say it to you again. As long as circumstances can change your attitude, your faith will be a servant of your feelings. You'll wake up one day, you won't feel like doing anything, and it's because the circumstances are tall. You'll wake up the next day, and you may feel better, and you'll go for it. Don't. I want you to think about it all afternoon, all this week. Don't let circumstances downsize your faith. Everything I've ever done, I never had what I needed in the beginning. I never did. When we bought shoes in Cuba, I wanted to buy 250 pair. I decided to buy 300 pair and didn't have a penny. We ended up, and much of it came from the generosity of this church. We bought over 700 pair of shoes in Cuba and gave to children. We've now dug over, I think it's 110 or 111 wells, around $500,000 worth of wells. I never had a penny. I had all the reasons why it wouldn't work, John. You had all the reasons why it wouldn't work in Lafayette, in this building. You've had all the reasons why you can't do it. But I'm here to tell you, I'm going to be home with my wife in 5 hours. If I could leave you anything, there's a million dreams that's filling your head. Look into my baby blue eyes. Don't give up and keep going. In my opinion, you can disagree, but quitting has killed more dreams than failure. stop too soon. This church is poised to help a lot of people. You're starting it. And whatever you have need and whatever your dream is, God's going to help you. God, I thank you today